This is continuing coverage. The Black Swan murder trial of Ashley Benefield from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Now back to the courtroom.
All right, State.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Conlon, did you find any firearms in this home?
I did.
And I want to show you States 49. We previously viewed it. What do we see here in 49?
The backpack that's in the closet.
Okay. And did you search that backpack?
I did.
Okay. And did you document that search?
I did.
Okay. And so this is State 73. Is that the same backpack?
Yes.
And what did you find inside that backpack?
A firearm.
Did you find anything to indicate to you whose backpack it was?
There was a driver's license.
And this is State 74. Is this the driver's license you found in the backpack?
Yes.
And would you mind telling me the name on it?
Ashley Benefield.
Thank you. And what do we see here in State 75?
That's the firearm.
And then at some point later, once you collected it, did you lay it out and document it?
I did.
I'm going to show you State 76. And let me ask you first, what kind of firearm was it?
It was a Sig Sauer 380.
And in State 76, is that the same firearm?
Yes.
I can zoom in if you, maybe. To be sure, or give you the other picture. Is that the Sig Sauer?
It is.
Thank you. And I'm going to show you States 43. We saw this picture. This is in the kitchen?
Yes.
Okay. And did you find anything of evidentiary value in that pantry?
Yes.
Okay. And what was it?
A firearm.
Okay. And can we see it here in this picture?
You can't see it, but it's where the Jiffy peanut butter is. There's a basket, and it's in that basket.
And so now, sorry. State 77. Is that the same Jiffy or Jif?
Yeah.
Okay. And 78.
The basket's been taken down to a lower shelf, and then the firearm's in there.
And did you also later document this firearm on some brown paper?
I did.
And in State 79, is that what we see?
Yes.
And what kind of firearm was that?
It was a Springfield 9mm.
Thank you. Did you collect, and I'm sorry, let's go back to the SIG that was in the closet. Was it loaded?
It was.
And you said that was a 380?
Oh, yes.
And the one that this one we're looking at here, was it loaded?
Yes.
Okay. And in this picture, can you tell us what all we see in this picture?
It's been secured, so the slide is back. This is the magazine. So there was 1 in the chamber and then 9 in the magazine.
And they're still in the magazine at this point?
Correct.
Thank you. And I know you already said 9mm?
Yes.
Thank you. Just don't want to get them confused. Did you collect any other items of evidence from the home? What were they?
2 cell phones were collected.
And I'm going to show you States 80. What is this item?
That is a cell phone which was on the living room couch.
And you collected it?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the clerk?
Yes.
Failed to grab everything. Ms. Conlon, I'm showing you States 11. Can you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And is that the phone we see? I'm sorry, what is it?
It is the cell phone that's on the couch.
And how do you recognize it?
It's the same color, everything.
And is it documented with the number and the time of this case?
Yes.
And other than possibly some paperwork being added, does it appear to be the same or substantially the same condition?
Yes.
Okay. The state would ask to enter States 11.
No objection.
Received.
Thank you. And how many phones did you collect?
2
And where was the second phone?
in the garage.
1.
So it's a shelf. So it's right outside, going back to the garage. So it's a shelf that's right here, at the entryway into the house. So there was a shelf area.
And is that same phone depicted in States 82?
Yes.
And I'm showing you States 12. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
The case number, what kind of phone it was,
And
and the date that this occurred.
thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you. And does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it back in September of 2020?
It does.
Your Honor, the state would ask to enter States 12.
No objection.
Received.
Once you collected these phones, what did you do with them?
Everything was secured back in the lab once I cleared the scene, but these 2 phones were assigned over to a detective so they can be searched.
And what detective was that?
Plazinski.
Thank you. His last name?
Plazinski.
Thank you.
You just call him Ski.
Other than after what we've just gone through from September 27th, were you later asked to do something else in this case?
Yes.
And when was that?
That was on October 1st
And what were you asked to do?
to photograph Ashley Benefield.
And did you do that?
I did.
And where did that take place?
In our CID.
And I'm going to show you states 83, 84, and 85. You haven't seen these today. Do you recognize them?
Yes.
And how do you recognize them?
They're the photos I took of Ashley.
And do they appear, or do they fairly and accurately depict how she appeared to you back in October 1st, 2020?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, state would ask to enter and publish 83, 84, and 85.
No objection.
Received.
And what was the purpose of taking pictures of her?
So this was after the night that everything occurred, and I know Megan took pictures of her that night, but sometimes bruising does not show up for a couple days, so that was why I went back to take pictures of her.
And did you observe any injuries on her body?
There were scratches, yes.
I'm going to show you states 83. What's the purpose of this photo?
It's just to show who I'm taking a picture of.
And did you observe any injuries to Miss Benefield's face or neck?
I did not.
And then states 84.
So that's the scratches,
And just for orientation purposes, that's the right side of her body.
yes.
Thank you. And states 85.
The scratch in her back.
And for orientation purposes, what side of her body would that be?
Actually, I'm sorry, it's not her back. It's, hold on, I gotta see this real quick. I believe it's right under her bra line.
It's been cropped quite down.
Yeah. So it's the right side of her body.
Thank you. And were you asked to conduct any further investigation in this case?
No.
Your Honor, may I have just a moment with co-counsel?
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Conlon. I don't have any other questions. Defense counsel may.
All right, Mr. Taylor, do you need any of the displays?
I'd like to just take a moment, Your Honor, and look through pictures.
There we go.
You break it, you buy it. So, Mr. Taylor, would you like me to leave that on, or would you like me to get that out of your way?
You can pull it up.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
You took more pictures on that day than were actually introduced here this afternoon.
Correct.
All right. Let me pass this one to you and see if it's one of the photographs that you took. May I, Your Honor? May I approach?
Yes, of course.
Yes, I did take this photograph.
Okay. State chose not to offer that to you, so I'd like you to identify it for us.
It is Ashley. I'm assuming it's her maiden name, Byers. It is her, and it's her concealed weapons firearm license.
Okay. And is it an accurate reproduction, just like all the other photographs that you took on that day?
Yes.
Respectfully introduce it. I want.
Has that one, I'm sorry, so has that already been marked?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We pre-marked all of them.
thank you.
Wanted that you said the couch that you recovered. Let me just try to refresh your recollection as in the couch.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, it was originally in the couch, and then it was removed and put on top to take the photograph.
The crime scene photographs that you took, I want to make sure we understand. You went in there and took these photographs and processed it after the deputies and EMS were in there.
Correct.
So what your photographs tell us, correct me if I'm wrong, is that that's the way the scene appeared at the time you took the photograph.
Correct.
It's not necessarily the way the scene was prior to the time you snapped your photograph.
Correct.
So in other words, the broom, just as an example that was in one of the photographs, that broom may very well have been knocked aside when the deputies were working on Mr. Benefield, trying to assist him.
Yes, that's possible.
And that could apply to the shell casings as well when the EMS people dragged Mr. Benefield out of the bedroom.
Correct.
you would have no way of knowing.
Correct.
All your photographs tell us is how things looked when you took the photograph.
Correct.
The blood marks from the bedroom all the way out to the front door, once again, is the scene after the EMS went through there along with the deputies.
Correct.
The last thing I want to ask you is, you did, to my knowledge, 2 separate reports, is that correct?
I believe it was one. If you would show me what you're looking at.
Sure. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
So these are my property receipts.
Yes, okay.
So that would be separate from the original written report.
Okay, but these are reports that you did.
Correct, yes.
And one of them, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, is it Deputy Conlon or?
No, I'm a yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the dates of the report is on the day of the incident, 9/27/20.
Correct.
Okay, and the second one is on October 20.
Yes.
And on both of these reports, Ms. Conlon, you, under type of case, noted as a homicide.
Correct.
When you're photographing this scene and executing your duties, all you know in there.
Correct.
You don't know whether or not it was a crime.
I do not know.
That's why you call it a homicide.
Correct.
If you knew it was a crime, you'd call it a murder.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect?
Sorry, no, just 1 second. I don't have anything else, Judge, thank you.
No? All right. Hold on 1 second. Can she be released?
Yes.
Can she be released from her subpoena?
No, we'd like to keep her under subpoena, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Conlon,
and
you were
Your
not
Honor, I
released
would
from your
like-
trial.
I'm sorry, I'll let you finish.
You were not released from your trial subpoena. The rule of sequestration has been invoked, so that means you cannot discuss your testimony here today with anyone outside this courtroom, including the attorneys. You can't talk about it with any other witnesses. You can't talk with witnesses about what they testified about or what questions were asked of them. All right, so remain available.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, can we publish Defense Exhibit
That
2,
one.
please?
Wait,
Absolutely, yes.
that too.
Yes.
That's the report. Yeah, that was his,
That's yours.
yes.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll publish 2. And Ms. Conlon, there's a lot of stuff flying around. Just look through your file, make sure that...
That I did not.
Yeah. Everything's yours?
Yes, it's all.
All right, ma'am. You're free to go for now.
Okay.
Be available if they need you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Judge, can we approach?
Yes, while they're looking at defense 2, go ahead and approach. All right, members of the jury, so we've had a very busy day, and talking with the attorneys, we're right on time, we're doing great. There's some couple legal matters that I need to address before we go to tomorrow, just to kind of smooth things out and make sure the presentation doesn't take up too much of your time and it's as smooth as possible. And I think what I'd prefer to do is go ahead and let you all go for the evening now, and then we're going to stay and work. I don't want you to think we're going to run home right now. We're going to stay and work, talk about tomorrow, and get it all worked out so we can hit the ground running tomorrow. Now, I had originally said that tomorrow morning I might need to start late because I had court, That resolved itself, but I think we're still moving along pretty good, so I think we're going to look for a 9 o'clock start time tomorrow. So if you could be downstairs in the jury assembly room at, I almost said 7:45, 8:45. That should be plenty of time. The deputies will come get you. Is anybody picking tomorrow? Okay. Do you know if everybody's been released? You think? There won't be any jurors. Okay. I was just checking because a lot of times we'll pick juries on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I was just checking to see if there's going to be a whole bunch of people down there. The clerk says probably not. So you'll probably have the room to yourself. If there are people there for civil juries or something like that, if you all could kind of stay generally in the same area, you have to sit right next to each other. But that way we kind of know where everybody's at. So you're free to go for the evening, maybe beat the traffic. Remember, please, last night you got home and family and friends were work was probably asking how's it going. You got to say, hey, I don't know anything yet. We haven't done opening statements. All we do is pick the jury. But now you've heard some testimony. So at this point, it's going to become even more important for you to follow these rules of no discussion amongst yourselves, no discussions about the case with anyone outside of this room, and make sure you try and avoid the news or don't, look at your favorite websites, but try and avoid doing any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics that you've heard anything about. Remember too, I don't know about you, but my fingers and my toes are pretty cold, so dress warm or dress appropriate so you can come and adjust as you need. I don't know if anybody brought snacks, but as you see, we have breaks throughout the day. So if you do want to bring something, they can bring coolers in, can't they?
I'll discuss that with them.
Okay, they'll discuss that with you because I want you to be able to bring in snacks as you need. All right, you're all set for the evening. We'll see you back here. Yes, please leave the notes. Those must stay here. If you just put them face down on your chairs, the deputies will pick them up and we'll hand them back out tomorrow. Thank you. All right, we'll see you in the morning. Okay, you all can have a seat. Yeah. All right, we are back on the record. We've got all the attorneys and Ms. Benefield. Madam Clerk, are you okay? I'm sorry, Madam Court Reporter.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I heard you type, and I want to make sure that you were also ready. All right. A whole call. Do you want those back? Did you get one?
Yes.
I'd probably just leave them here in case they want to re-listen to it. If they re-listen to it?
No.
They wouldn't get it either?
They will not.
Okay. I can always get confused.
Oh, you know what?
Listen to it in the courtroom. I'll just
Yeah.
leave them. If we don't use them, we don't use them.
Yeah. For your edification, for everybody here's edification, and I meant to tell the jury this, and it's on my list, and I forgot. The boil water notice was extended to Wednesday.
Yes.
So continue to bring your bottled water or your sodas or your coffees or whatever it is. And I meant to tell the jury, it's okay because what's today, Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, it is Tuesday. Hopefully,
10 a.m. tomorrow.
it's 10 a.m. tomorrow? Okay, well, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. Okay.
These are from containers or something?
No, it's the pond out back.
Well, I get thirsty.
And then, thank you very much, sir. I did get your amended witness list. It helps me keep track as we go. My notes are that, this is for everybody's knowledge, Deputy Burley,
Early.
Burley,
I was saying it wrong.
CST Dvorak, CST Conlon, and Eva Benefield have not been released from their trial subpoenas. So I know you all know what that means, but you need to make sure your witnesses, because some of these folks, either they're also employed at the sheriff's office or they may know each other, and they are strictly prohibited from having conversations with each other.
I'll speak to them.
All right, let's talk about, you had some motions, and I said objections earlier, but they could also be motions in limine. And Alicia Byers.
Yes, sir. So, I thought we had pretty much established that the child abuse investigation, nonetheless, in an opening statement, the state clearly went down that road to the extent of even designating that there were 5 of them, which now puts us in a position to have to respond to that unless it turns out to be a representation in an opening statement that never materializes, and as the court knows, and the court emphatically instructed that statement is not evidence. So the concerns we have with Alicia Byers and with Dr. Russell is that we believe both witnesses' testimony is sought to go to the issue of child abuse. For multiple reasons, 403 of the Florida Evidence Code being merely one, and I don't need to re-argue this, the court's aware of it, we're all aware of it, the balancing act, given the potential prejudice. We don't think that that should be admissible, and we don't think we should go down that rabbit hole. In addition,
I apologize for interrupting. I do not intend to ask either one of them about child abuse. And if it helps, the reason I said 5 complaints was, it's my belief that that comports with your ruling on what Detective Moreland could testify about. So that's why I represented that. It wasn't to get information out of either of these 2 witnesses.
well, that certainly helps my argument, Judge. My understanding, for purposes of Detective Moreland, is that the court is willing to allow him to testify as to the criminal aspect of his involvement. The court should be aware that the deputies do not conduct an investigation. They merely accompany to protect for their personal safety. There is no criminal investigation, so I point this out to you, Your Honor, in anticipation of when Deputy Moreland does come to take the stand. If the state doesn't plan to go into anything having a relationship to the allegations of child abuse, then I don't know that we need to go any further to discuss that it was, whether it's collateral or it doesn't relate to any material element of the offense.
And let me just clarify, that argument relates to Barbara Russell and Alicia Byers?
Alicia Byers, yes, and it may in fact relate to Deputy Moreland once I get a chance to voir dire him about his actual participation and whether or not he's just there for safety purposes to protect the DCF representative.
I can just represent, I mean, you can voir dire him if you'd like, but I can represent to you that he did his own independent criminal investigation. But he and the DCF or CBT people all work together. They all have their different goals. But he did investigate criminally.
Well, who would he be investigating? He would be investigating the target of the complaints. What relevance would that have to Ashley Benefield?
What I envisioned from all of this was I was allowing Detective Moreland to testify consistently with what I allowed at the Stand Your Ground hearing. That there were 5 complaints made. The I think I allowed the month and the year. The alleged perpetrator being Doug Benefield. An investigation was conducted. The general allegations were, and whatever they were, and that the cases were closed with no action. Exactly what I allowed at the stand your ground hearing. And then I did not allow Kim Griffin, remember that's the one from CPS. Was she going to be an expert? Then it was no, she's not going to be an expert, but we want her to testify on 5 complaints from the CPS aspect that they were investigated and they were closed with no action. And that's where my ruling was no, because I think under 403 that allowing both of them to testify, and I completely understand that this is criminal, Moreland, right? If we have a silo, Moreland is criminal, 5 criminal investigations. Griffin is CPS, civil, 5 investigations. But my ruling was under 403, I thought allowing both of them to go into it could confuse the jury, mislead the jury into thinking, well, there were 10 investigations. So that's why I made the ruling I did. If you're asking me to revisit that, because I would allow Detective Moreland to testify that there were these 5 complaints. Is he CAC?
Yes.
So he was CAC at the time. They were investigating, in the information I gave.
How can I, if that comes out, how can I not bring out on cross that 2 of those complaints were from independent third parties?
Well, I did not allow them to go into who made the complaints. That was the subject of a prior motion where I said, no, you cannot go into who actually made the complaints. The state is prohibited from going into that.
And I won't ask for names, I won't look for identifications, but I think I'm certainly entitled to show that it wasn't just Ashley Benefield.
And I don't know if he knows that or not, because I don't think that question was raised at the stand your ground hearing or any of the motions I've covered. It was in a deposition, so I'm not aware of it, but I don't know if he even knows who made the complaints.
Okay.
I don't know that he does.
I'm hard pressed to believe he conducted 5 criminal investigations and he doesn't know that 2 of the complaints came from a pediatrician and a psychologist.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to open a Pandora's box. I'm just saying I personally don't know. So you may want to talk to him tomorrow before he testifies, or maybe it was in the deposition. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's my ruling as of right now.
Yep.
Moreland can testify. Griffin can't. He can testify about those 5 criminal investigations that came to him as part of the CAC unit and the information that I allow. If they want to get into more, you want less, so that's where it's not a compromise, but I think that's the correct legal ruling.
So now I have a second motion.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that Alicia Byers and Dr. Barbara Russell are not being called for purposes of child abuse, what possible relevance could they have to this?
I have no idea.
Why?
So is this the similar motion they filed a motion in limine for me to force you to proffer your expert? Are you now motioning for me to force them to proffer theirs?
No, because if you would have granted theirs, then I would have said yes, but you denied theirs.
Goose and gander, but no, I denied it because I don't think there's any basis for that.
Okay, so I just want to alert the court that I'm on guard for that, and there's going to be some objections potentially.
Understood, and it happens all the time. Depositions have been taken, or reports have been written, or affidavits have been done, and you can file motions in limine to limit or restrict certain areas, but I don't have any of that in front of me.
Okay.
The lie about anybody was I granted the request to depose Russell, and I haven't heard anything since then. So, well, what else can we talk about this evening before I let you go?
I think we're ready.
I have one small thing. We did do a stipulation for the ID of the victim.
Sure.
I think it's not an issue in this case. Nobody's objecting or arguing, but I just wanted that to be a part of the record.
All right.
I think she wants me to fingerprint it also, Judge.
I'm sorry, sir?
I think she wants my fingerprint on it as well.
If you would bear with me, Miss Benefield, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I just want to ask you about this trial stipulation that was just handed out, the case style at the top, trial stipulation, and it says, it is hereby stipulated and agreed by and between the parties that the identity of the deceased victim is Doug Benefield, white male, date of birth 10/2/61, a human being. It's got Mr. Taylor's signature. None of this is dated. It's got Mr. Taylor's signature. It has Miss O'Donnell, and it purports to have your signature above your name and the word defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm not going to ask a lot of questions, but the essentially, ma'am, do you understand that at trial the state has to prove certain elements? One of those elements is that Doug Benefield is deceased and is deceased. Other things they need to prove, but you understand by entering into this stipulation, you're basically saying you don't have to prove that state. We're disagreeing that the deceased victim in this case is Doug Benefield.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, fair enough. That's all I wanted to confirm. So I've got this. I'm going to give it to the clerk so she can stamp it in, and then you all tell me when you want the stipulation. We already have the limiting instruction or the instruction about stipulations.
And I don't even know if we need to read it. Okay, maybe we could read it during Dr. Vega, just to be certain, but.
I will let you prosecute and defend your case how you see fit. Okay. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, listen, I'm not sure that I need to have you here at 8:30. It sounds like it's worked out.
Do I hear 9 o'clock?
Looks like it's going to be 9.
Do I hear 9:30?
Over my objection.
Well, I thought you had something in the morning.
No, I have bond hearings. I ended up not having any bond hearings, and I don't have any case managements for tomorrow. Now, next week I do.
Thank you, Judge. 9 o'clock is very much appreciated.
Yes, 9 o'clock.
But 9 o'clock start, so maybe 8:50, 8:55, getting all set up.
Okay.
All right, deal.
Jim, can we, will this be?
All right, we'll be off the record until tomorrow.
More continuing coverage is on the way. The Black Swan murder trial of Ashley Benefield from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Press subscribe now.